All right, welcome everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the art of becoming your highest self. We are so happy that you are here with us today. I have a very special lesson planned for you where we're going to be weaving in what we've been learning so far this week, right? So this is all about you. This is all about discovering who you are, understanding yourself, how you have a self-image, you have a self-concept, and then you also have this programming, right? This underlying programming that most of us don't know that we even have until we get into this work. And then I'm going to weave in goal setting and kind of take you through this process for how to really set a worthy ideal, how to set a worthy goal for yourself. That's something that really pulls from within. So it's a really special lesson because I'm going to touch on some things that I normally don't touch on in a training that I think will really resonate with you. And we're gonna I say just touch on it lightly because it's some study and understanding in authors that I've worked with for a while now that has really helped me with my awareness, and I know it'll help you, and especially as it relates to becoming, your highest self. So let me share my screen and we'll go ahead and get right into it. All right. Start the slideshow. Okay. So yes, the art of becoming your highest self, right? This is all about you this week. So where I want to start with this, and here's what I want you guys to do, okay? I want you to turn off all distractions, like truly, truly do this. You're going to get so much out of this lesson if you really listen. And I want you to not listen with your ears. I want you to listen with your heart. Really open yourself up and listen to your heart, listen with your heart, listen with your emotions, because that is your heart center. When you listen with your emotions, that is your emotional mind, which is your subconscious. Okay, right? So we talked yesterday about our higher mental faculties, and we have that ability to live from that place. Okay, so turn off distractions, turn off, the objective world, and just really listen. So I pulled this quote from The Power of Awareness. This one is on the screen here, is from chapter 3 on the power of assumption. So all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed. Right? Just right there. Like, that is so simple. I believe we are all here for a reason. Okay, whether you're on the Zoom watching the replay, or even just, in this group and you're catching just this first part of it. If you are here for a reason, and I believe it is to create freedom in your life in any area, and that is going to require a transformation, right? So Neville says, all transformation begins with an intense, burning desire to be transformed, right? Not a weak desire, not just a desire. It's an intense, burning desire to be transformed. So the first step in this, right? The first step is in the renewing. So the first step in the renewing of the mind is desire. Okay. Desire is such a strong word, you guys. So you must want to be different and then intend to be. So it's not just about the want, that's where it starts, but you must want to be different and then intend to be before you can begin to change yourself, right? It all comes back to yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. Okay, so I'll just read it quickly again. All transformation begins with this intense burning desire to be transformed. The first step in this is in the renewing of the mind. The first step is desire. So you must want to be different and intend to be before you can begin to change yourself. Then you must make your future dream a present fact. So Neville talks about this concept about living from the end, not just thinking of it. That was actually the very first line, the very first sentence I read years ago that really got me hooked on Neville and the Power of Awareness. Just that you must live from the goal achieved and not just think of it. So when you go back and watch the replay, you might even just want to write that down, right? Live from the goal, live from the end, and not just think of it. Like there is an energetic difference between the two. When you live from the end, you're connected to that burning desire. You're connected with your goal, right? And when you just think of it, you're disconnected, right? It's not, the energy shift is much different. And when we do not feel and experience the oneness, not just with our goal, it is with the goal, but it's also with universal intelligence, with source, with God, whatever it is that you relate to and want to call it. So in chapter 4, in the same book, and I just want to read this to you. So close your eyes, okay, and just listen to this. This relates directly back to the self-image. So this right here was from chapter 3. Chapter 4, the title of chapter 4 is Desire. I think it's such a beautiful word, desire, right? So he says, the changes which take place in your life as a result of your changed concept of yourself always appear to the unenlightened to be the result not of a change of your consciousness, but of chance, outer cause, or coincidence. Okay, so I'm just going to break that down really quick. The changes which take place in your life as a result of your changed concept of yourself, of just by changing your self-image, it will always appear to people on the outside that don't have this understanding, don't have the awareness, don't study this. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but this is where you want to be really careful about your environment, because as you begin to transform and pull your goal, get connected to your burning desire, right? You're like a magnet, you're attracting your goal to you. It's going to appear that these little coincidences, which we know nothing happens by coincidence or luck, it's going to appear that it's not because you're changing yourself, it's going to appear as luck. Okay? So it's just important to remember that. And he goes on to say, however, the only fate governing your life is the fate determined by your own concepts, your own assumptions. For an assumption, though false, if persisted in, will harden into fact. So what are you assuming? Right? The power of assumption, Neville, this is like what he bases his teaching on, is the power of assumption. So what are you assuming in your life? What are you assuming about your environment, about your goal? And if you start in thought, like, is your assumption that, you are capable of achieving this? So that's what he says, like the only fate governing your life is the fate determined by your own concepts, your own assumption. For an assumption, though false, if persisted in, it'll still harden into fact. So what are you assuming? Are you assuming what you want, or are you assuming what you don't want? Because either way, it'll definitely, by law, every time, harden into fact. Okay, so excuse me. So I wanted to start there because this whole lesson is based around creating your burning desire. And you can also say your worthy ideal, your goal, your wants, but I really love to say your burning desire, because for me, that creates a feeling. And when, and it does become a goal, but it has to start with this burning desire, because otherwise I find that it's merely a want or a wish or a hope. And it doesn't truly come from within. And I've had a lot of experience of people setting goals and then wondering why it's not manifesting. And and then, and then going back into safety, or think like, this doesn't work for me. And more often than not, it could be the image, it could be, the gestation period. More often than not, I find that it is because it's not a true goal. Because when it is a true burning desire, nothing will stop you. So, we looked at this slide, and, often, it comes back, like he said, it's the self-concept that we have of ourselves, right? And so that's the same thing as self-image. Often we are not aware of the image that we hold of ourselves. And this image influences every area of our life, right? It controls the way we walk, the way we talk, the way we love, the way we learn, the way we dream. It really controls absolutely everything. So that's why we've done a lot of, self-image work this week. And remember, we act and feel in accordance to what we imagine to be true about ourselves. That there's no other way. Like that is how we act, and that is how we feel. And this is all going to tie into attitude at the end, because your attitude is a combination of your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions, right? So right here, we act and feel in accordance to what we imagine to be true about ourselves. So, and I love, like, imagine, right? Imagination, we learned yesterday, is one of our higher mental faculties. So again, like, what are you imagining? Are you imagining what you want, or are you imagining what you don't want? And so again, the repetition of this question will never go away, is what do you believe about yourself? Every time you set a new goal, every time you create a new image, this is a question you should ask yourself throughout the day, so that you can course correct as you go throughout. So what do I believe about myself? What do I think about myself? How do I feel about myself? Right? What do I believe about myself that is causing my actions to create the results that I'm getting in my life? And the beauty is that you have the ability to change it. So by getting really real and honest and raw with yourself, most people won't go there. But by doing that work, that is the vulnerability it requires to create a quantum leap and to create new results. So let's jump into proper goal setting. All right. It's not just about setting a goal. I was talking to my mastermind partner this morning about this. It has to be a proper goal. Okay. And what I mean by that is going back to that burning desire, right? A lot of people will say, I want to earn $1 million. I want to earn this, like, then I'll be happy. Then it'll create freedom. But that's not how it actually happens, okay? It must be that burning desire. It has to come from within, and you have to be fused with it, in order for you to attract it into your life, in order for you to create your own reality. So, why do we set goals? It's such a simple concept, and I love it. I love it because it's so relatable to a lot of different types of people, right? A lot of different levels of awareness. And so that's why I love helping, people with goal setting, and really digging deep on what it is that they want. If you ever, I find, and I work with my clients on this, is like, I find that if you're ever stuck, or you're not sure what direction to go in next, or if you're having these moments, this like feedback from the universe that are kind of setting you back, it's usually, and it's happening over, the repetition of that is happening over and over and over again. It usually means that you don't have the right goal. They really don't have a true goal. Because I promise you, if you have a true goal, nothing will hold you back. Yeah, you're going to hit a few bumps along the way, but you learn to fail forward, you get down, and you get back up. And your attitude, it may waver for a minute, but no longer than 24 hours. And if it goes longer than that, you're in trouble. And I mean that with all sincerity. Like, it is about creating this mental endurance, this mindset that no matter what, you are going to achieve your goal. Okay, and this is where coaching and mentorship, comes into play. So it create a goal. What it does is it creates order in the mind, and that is so important, right? Order. I think excuse me, Thomas Troward said, "Order is heaven's first law," and that is so true. Like, we have to have order in the mind to know where we're going, to know how we're going to get. We don't need to know the how, but in order to move into action, towards that goal. And so, like Keith back in, so it brings more balance. And I'll equate it to, it's very simply, I'll equate it to, like, taking a trip. It's on my mind. I must be wanting to, I've been using this analogy a lot today already. So it's like taking a trip, right? My family, my parents, my sister, and her 3 kids just set out this morning on a road trip down to Houston, Texas, for a graduation of my one of my nieces. And they're driving, and they rented this car. Like, they had a goal to get to this graduation. And so what did they do, right? They formed a plan. They came up with a plan. And so they had this goal. It created order in the mind. And so if you want to take a trip, again, just say a road trip from Chicago to Houston, or, let's say Chicago to LA, like, it's a goal to get there. That's your goal. It's not what we call a C-type goal, but it's still a goal. You're going to come up with a plan, right? You're not going to just drive aimlessly. You're going to kind of want to know at least somewhat how you're going to get there. So the goal creates order in the mind. But if you stop and ask most people on the street what their goal is, they don't really have a clear answer. Okay, so that is why goal setting is so important, because it's an order in the mind that it helps us create. So I love this quote by Robert Heinlein. He said, "In the absence of clearly defined goals, we become strangely loyal to performing daily trivia until we ultimately become enslaved by it." Right? And this is what I find. This is, again, why the goal is so important. I find that when we are following mass conscious awareness, when we are following the masses, you have a lot, I'm sure you guys have heard that term before, we just become loyal to performing daily trivial tasks, right? We're just programmed, that paradigm has us programmed, that habitual way of thinking, until we're not really even thinking for ourselves anymore. We're not in our power. We're not taking back the power of going after something that our soul truly desires, our burning desire. So, and it's not just any goal. And we're going to get into this in a second. We're talking about a worthy goal, a worthy ideal, right? Because you're here and you're spending the time anyway. And so you might as well spend it being great and going after something that you really want. So that brings me to the question of, what do you really want? It is so simple, but when I ask people this, I get oftentimes kind of a blank stare, or, well, I don't know. I want a lot of things. And that's fine. You can want a lot of things, but think about it like this. And in the workbook on page 8, I've given you some space to really start listing out what it is you want. If you don't already know your goal, that's where you want to start. You just start listing out all of your wants, right? And I have some a little description at the top there. How do you want to live a year from now, right? What do you want the next year to look like? Don't worry about the how. Okay, that's the first thing that people get tripped up on is, they'll go somewhere in their imagination first. Well, I want to do this. I would love to live, in a beach house in Malibu, California. It's just, that's a goal. That is a goal of mine. But most people, you go there in your imagination, and then the paradigm comes in immediately, and it talks you out of why you can't have that. All of the reasons why it's not going to be possible. Well, maybe you don't earn enough money. Maybe you don't, you're tied to your family where you're currently living. I promise you, those are all circumstances, and you can change those. You have that ability, right? Going back to creating from within versus living by your current conditions and circumstances. Okay, so what is it that you really want? And, like I said, just use your imagination. Is it better relationships? Is it like, what do you want to see yourself being, doing, or having? And it all starts in the mind, right? This helps you create that clear path. And so we're usually used to just looking at what is and the current results. But that is getting in our way. So I really want you to do that exercise today in the workbook. So going deeper on proper goal setting. Okay, so when we do goal setting, there are, the way I coach and teach is there are 3 different types of goals that you can set. Okay, you can set an A-type goal, which is something that you already know how. And if you've heard this before, I want you to really open up and listen again, because I promise you, you cannot hear this enough on repetition, because you're here for a reason, and you're hearing it again for a reason. So even if you have a goal right now, I want you to really ask yourself, like, is it truly, a C-type goal? So an A-type goal is something that you already know how to do. A B-type goal is something that you think you can do. And a C-type goal is the use of your imagination, and it's what you really want, right? So an A-type goal, like, it's something that you already know how to do. So it doesn't require really any growth, because you've already been there. And again, there's nothing wrong with goals, any sort of goal setting. However, if, in coaching, in mentorship, in truly studying this material, my goal is to take you this week to a place within yourself that you haven't been before, because that's where the growth happens. And that's why we do goal setting. And the C-type goals, that is what's going to provide the most growth. Okay. So when people set A-type goals, that's great. And then they generally move on to B-type goals, right? And that again is what you think you can do. So a B-type goal, and if you guys may have heard this before, but an example I always use is when I wanted to become a yoga teacher. It was a goal that I had for years, probably easily maybe 10 years. But life just kind of kept happening. I had kids, and I, had family, and I had a divorce, and I had to move, and I changed jobs, and, and I just this was just kind of like following along with the masses of what I thought I was supposed to be doing. So, but I still had this goal in the background. And here's the thing about B-type goals is that if you can write out pretty much all of the steps of how to get there, and you can that if everything happens just so that you can kind of probably figure it out, that is a B-type goal. So that it was me for my yoga teacher training that I went through, which was a rigorous program. It was a financial investment. It was a very long time investment. It required time away from my family. I had to sit my son down at the time, who was in junior football, every Saturday and Sunday, and say, honey, I'm not going to be able to come to all your games. And so, it required a sacrifice, right? Time, money, family. And, but, I was able to kind of figure it out. Right? I was able to write out the steps and sort of kind of piece it together. So that for me is a great example of a B-type goal. There was growth in it. It caused me to stretch. And the training in of itself was so therapeutic and life-changing, but the goal itself was a B-type goal. All right. So then C-type goals. This is where you remove the word how. If you know how to do it, it's not a C-type goal. And I believe it's not the right goal for you. Because here's the thing, when you set a high-level goal, like a C-type goal, you're going to hit these other goals along the way, likely. Right? So you've got your C-type goal. Let's just say it's a financial goal. I do love financial goals because it provides a very easy metric for where you're at in your growth. It's not about the money. It is not about the getting to that goal. And I promise you, even that is not about creating financial freedom. It will, but it's not about that. It is about the freedom you create in your mind, in your heart, when you are on the path to achieving that, right? So let's say you have a high level C-type goal, that is a financial goal. Let's say you have an A-type goal, that's a new car. And then you have a B-type goal of, wanting to get yoga certified, because your C-type goal is you want to create financial freedom and you want to go out on your own and start your own mind body wellness company. I'm using myself as an example. And so that was my C-type goal, right? I wanted to leave my day job. I was a full-time provider for my family at the time, and my husband didn't work. I carried the life insurance. I handled all of the bills. I had no idea how I was going to leave a steady, corporate job with a very good salary and go out and launch something completely from scratch. I had no idea how. And I hit these other goals along the way. So that is why a C-type goal and doing this proper goal setting is so important, because in the end, it is about bringing more of who you are, the essence of who you are, your soul, to the surface. Because I believe that's when we are really serving ourselves and our who we're meant to be, but that's when we can be in greatest service to other people as well. And I really believe that we are all here to serve other people in some way, shape, or form, right? If you're in an actor, if you're, a doctor, a teacher, a coach, a lawyer, anything, we are serving other people. And that's when we create, when we have that understanding, that's when we're able to create true freedom. So when we do goal setting, and we've already covered paradigm, so I'm just going to touch on it today. But when we do goal setting, I spoke and taught about paradigms earlier because they're so important to understand. And I didn't want the goal setting process to get in the way of understanding the programming that exists in each and every one of us, right? So what are paradigms, right? We've learned that they are a multitude of habits, other people's habits, first and foremost, that get passed on from generation to generation. And our paradigms are a mental program that is running in our subconscious that has almost exclusive control over our habitual behavior. And here's the thing, almost all of our behavior is habitual. So this is why, again, it's so important to understand the paradigm, because anytime we go to again, I said it earlier, we go in our imagination, we have a want, we were like, oh, I'm going to go after that. What happens is the paradigm comes right in and tries to talk you out of stretching and growing, right? Because again, there's no growth inside that comfort. The growth can only happen outside of your comfort zone. Okay. And so that is why your environment is so key and so essential. I could talk for days on environment just alone, because it's a really tricky topic for people to understand and kind of maneuver. But sometimes it might require you to keep your goal to yourself until you've built up that self-confidence, that awareness, that understanding that no matter what, you're going after it, right? And then other times it might be the time to release it and share it, but you'll know, right? Listen to that intuition and you'll know. And then we also talked this week about, only 2 ways to change a paradigm, right? Is through an emotional impact. And we went deep on that yesterday. And then through the time-space repetition, studying the same thing, learning the same thing, coaching, mentorship will definitely expedite the process for sure. Okay. So, then I'm bringing it back because we've talked about burning desire. Then we've talked about, the self-concept, we have to really know ourselves and have a higher concept of ourselves than how we're currently programmed if we're going to do proper goal setting. And then we have to start thinking differently. right? It is that simple. We cannot, I love this quote by Einstein, we cannot solve our problems with the same thinking we used when we created them. It's not going to happen. Otherwise, we're just going to keep producing the same results year in and year out. So what does that mean, right? We have to go into our higher mental faculties. We have to. Our imagination, our will, our intuition, perception, memory, and reason. They are the most beautiful gifts that we have. And I find that most of us use them 3% of the time, right? And so when you learn to live more often than not using these mental faculties, that's when you're going to attract, that's when you're going to, expedite the process from where you are to where you want to go, and attract quicker what you're looking to attract, into your life. So we looked at this again yesterday, right? So I'm only going to touch on it again. If you missed yesterday, I highly encourage you to go back and rewatch the replay. Everything is found under the guide section in the Facebook group, because we went really deep on this yesterday. So here's the thing. When we use our higher mental faculties, right? When we live, if you can see my cursor, when we live from our current circumstances and our environment, and we let the outside results control us, we're over here on the left-hand side. And I'm talking about results that are not serving us, right? We live over here on the left. And when we know, and we have this training and understanding through repetition, when we have this understanding to be able to, nope, I'm not going there. Nope, course correct right away. I'm not going there. And we know to replace it with this knowledge and the understanding it requires to create different results, to create a quantum leap. That's when you're gonna make a huge shift. So what does this look like? Right? On the left is, the ignorance. We take in any sort of worry, doubt, negative thinking, and it happens like that in a millisecond. We take it into through our objective mind, our conscious mind, and then what happens in the subconscious turns into fear. And that fear can sit there for a really long time. And then in the body, it comes out in anxiety, procrastination, depression, and being in a state of dis-ease. However, on the right-hand side, when we know, nope, I'm not going there, go right back to your imagination. Nope, I'm not going to let that one comment, I'm not going to let that one post I saw on social media, I'm not going to let, whatever it is for you, we're all different. This is why knowing yourself, and we started the week with those few paragraphs from The Hidden Power on Yourself. Like, this is why knowing you is essential. Because we are all different. We all are here to express ourselves differently. We all have different desires. And again, this is about living from the inside out, not the outside in. So when we have the tools, right, to know to replace it, nope, I'm not going there, replace it with study, understanding, positive thinking, what happens in the subconscious? We know, nope, I'm going to faith. This fear does not serve me. I can't see either. I cannot see the fear. I can't see the faith. So I'm going to choose faith. And we're going to go deeper into faith in a minute, because it has been such a game changer for me in the last year. And so when we know to replace that fear immediately with faith and understanding in the body, it turns into well-being, right? We're calm, we accelerate, we move into action, right? And then we're in a state of being at ease. And doesn't it feel so much better to be at ease versus running around like, chickens with our heads cut off sometimes, or like wondering, what do I do? What do I do next? Who should I ask? What should I do? No, it doesn't. Like, I am here to help and serve. I am here to help you. Like, learn this for yourself. This is not about, I think I said it yesterday, like if I could do the work, I would do the work for you and my clients. But I've learned, and Bob always used to say, like, if I could put this in like a syringe or a needle, and he said, like, put it in someone's ass, he's like, and inject this, like, I would do that, because like that is what this is about learning for yourself how to develop that strength and that inner knowing, that inner understanding and awareness to create what it is that you're here to create. Okay, so there's a lot on this slide. So I'm going to read it to you. And so this is really like, you can take a screenshot if you want, take a picture with your cell phone. Please go back and watch the recording. We're about, if it helps at all, we're about 40 minutes in. And so if you want to like fast forward to this part, I, in the past have not gone deep with faith. And like I said, it has made such a difference in my life, right? So if we go back to this, so it's easy to tell someone, oh, just replace the fear with faith. Just do that. But what does that mean? And there is a lot of work. Think and Grow Rich. There's a chapter on faith. There's Neville Goddard talks about faith. My favorite study right now, which we're starting next week in the Study With Me program that we're launching, which I shared yesterday, is the God Works Through Faith by Dr. Robert Russell. I mentioned it yesterday, my mastermind partner and I have been studying it literally since January, and we're still on chapter 2. So this is how we're gonna study. I'm gonna really work with whoever wants to be involved on how to study properly. So going back to it though, this is like very simply, to boil it down in 2 slides, this is how you do it. Okay, so imagination, right? We go to our imagination, we just talked about that. Our imagination shows us the possibilities of God's kingdom. Now, I always like to preface this, God is what you relate to. Some people relate to divine infinite intelligence. Some people relate to, spirit, source, universal intelligence. Like there's so many different names for it. And I'm just going to use this because I am literally quoting from this book. And so imagination, when we go into our imagination, it shows us the possibility, right, of what is possible for us. And that is all within, like the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven is within. Faith makes the possibilities real, right? So are you ready to put your faith to the test? So as a part of the homework, again, I can post this slide as well, but I want you to get a pencil and paper and really put this to work, okay? So you put your prayer, your goal, your treatment is what he calls it, in words. I love starting with, I'm so happy and grateful, right? Because that right there starts, it puts emotion into your goal. I am so happy and grateful. And in the workbook that I provided for you guys, towards the back, we talk about I talk about affirmations a lot. And I also talk about gratitude and what gratitude does for you. So I would highly encourage you, we're not going to cover it today or even, this week, but I want you to go back and, go into that workbook which is why we're providing it for you. So put your prayer, your treatment in words. See the problem, meaning, you're saying you want to go here and you're not there yet. So see that problem, that little gap, not as your current imagination, not as your current results reports it, but see it in truth. Okay, so our truth is our burning desire, going back to the very beginning. When we stand in our truth and we know that we are here, we are creative beings and we are here to create what it is that we want, which is our burning desire. And we know that no matter what, like we're accomplishing that. So when we stand in that truth, like, no, the answer for you awaits your application of the law of faith to bring it into manifestation, right? So the law of faith is one of the universal laws. So the orderly outworking of the law follows as naturally as day follows night. I love that because we are in harmony with nature. Universal laws operate just the same as the laws of nature. Just because we can't see the universal laws is where our programming and our paradigm creeps in and says, well, is this really real? Is this really happening? But I promise you, like you like the law of gravity, right? Like we don't question that if we're up on the top of a building and we go to jump down, like we're going to hit the ground, right? It's going to happen, the law of gravity, but we can't see gravity. We just know that it exists. So all of the universal laws of vibration, of law of attraction, so many beautiful laws out there that we'll eventually get into studying, but they follow as naturally as day follows night. So apply the rule and answer the answer follows. So what is the rule? So we seek first the kingdom of God, and all these things shall be added unto you. So we seek first within. In other words, put first things first. Seek first your consciousness, oneness with God. Okay, we are not separate from our goal. We and our goal are one. We and our world are one. Okay, we create our reality. And when we know that, when we truly know that, like that is the first, that is what he means when he says, put first things first. So state as briefly as possible your intention. What are you seeking? Be very accurate and definite. And then your formula, he says, your desire must be just as clear and exact in your mind as if it were projected on a moving picture screen, right? So you want to be very clear because the universe will always, always deliver. I love the stories from clients where it's like, oh, well, I wanted to do this and I got that, but it didn't really happen the way I thought it was going to happen. And it's because there wasn't that clarity. So here are the steps I want to give you. Release the desire with deep feeling unto the subconscious mind. Let God have it. We just surrender. We accept it is done, right? So number 3, don't question or wonder the how. The desire is going to be fulfilled. Dismiss any mental reservations or doubts. Keep a positive image before your mind. And number 5, accept the outcome of your prayer or wish, right? Just accept. It's already done, like I said. So that is, the assignment for today. I've given you guys a lot, right? Like we went pretty deep with some I think some heady stuff. And I wanted to do that. I wanted to provide that like for you guys because for me, that's been the greatest amount of awareness and the greatest amount of growth. And so I just wanted to touch on some different concepts. And, yes, it is about goal setting. Yes, it's about your worthy ideal. But it goes deeper than that, right? It goes to your burning desire. So go back. Number 1, go back, watch this replay. Number 2, I want you to listen to the magic word, and we'll put the link to the audio in the comments of the assignment post, which will be again found in the guide section. And the magic word is a short little audio. I think it's 14 minutes long by Earl Nightingale. And then, make a list of all your wants, as I said in the beginning, in order to help you get closer to your goal. And then, just go back, these are the steps. So you've got the wants in the workbook, and then you have, the steps here as well to guide you. So don't overthink it. Just go with what you intuitively feel for yourself is going to, put you in alignment with the good that you desire. All right. And then, like I promised to end, I'm just going to touch on attitude, because what you're studying today, again, listen to attitude a minimum of 3 times. Reach out if you have any questions. Post your questions. If you want to post your questions in the assignment comments or in the replay comments, we'll get back to them as quickly as possible. But what I wanted to end with is attitude. Okay. So attitude, your attitude towards everything, right? It doesn't just mean like your disposition towards life. It doesn't just mean your outlook, it doesn't mean, oh, I've got a good PMA, a good positive mental attitude. That is the very basic 101 understanding of attitude. Your attitude equals your thoughts plus your feelings plus your actions. Your thoughts, the thoughts you think, plus what you feel, plus then your actions. And here's the thing is we have an attitude towards everything. So I want, as you're listening, I want you to really think about this. Like you have an attitude towards yourself, towards your self-image. You have an attitude towards your goal. You have an attitude towards this call, towards the Facebook group, towards me, towards your house, towards, your car if you have one. Like everything is an attitude. And I have found in my experience that when things are out of alignment, I have had to check my attitude. And sometimes it comes when with some of the most challenging things that we face in life. What is your attitude towards every situation and circumstance, towards your bank account, right? If your bank account it doesn't reflect where you want to be, okay, well, what is your attitude? What are your thoughts? What are your feelings towards it? And your action? What's your attitude towards money? Okay, so I'm going to leave you guys with that. Like I said, I've given you a lot. I am going to stop the share and just see if, not sure. Yeah, Keith looks like he's on. We have a few minutes left, but I think I pretty much, covered the assignment, covered the replay. Keith, is there anything that you want to add? I'll go ahead and ask to unmute you. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Yeah. Haley, when you said that faith was a game changer for you, that I really resonated with that. Purely because, and I think I want to share a bit of my story as well. I met Haley about 8 months ago, maybe 6, and it was during one of the Bob Proctor lessons. And at that time, having gone through the lesson and sort of interfaced with Haley and interfaced with some of the other people that were part of that lesson, my burning desire was to coach, and always has been to coach, because for me, I feel like my purpose on this earth is to essentially be of service to other people, and I remember writing down in my notebook. I wrote that one day I will be part of Bob Proctor's inner circle of coaches. I literally wrote that down. I wrote that in November. And this year, this is, what month are we in? We're in May. A couple of months later, I am in Bob Proctor's inner circle. I never believed it, but I just knew that it was going to happen for some reason. And I remember speaking to Haley, and she said, don't let any negative thought enter your mind. Don't let any shred of doubt essentially veer you from the path that you've just decided that you're going to be on. I remember that very clearly. And, it's when you said that faith was a game changer for you, it's a game changer for me. This is the work. And I think guys, it's really important, again, going back to the attitude. Your attitude is a combination of those actions, those beliefs, those feelings, right? To essentially push you in the direction of your goal. And I think hold that there. That's really an important, because at the end of the day, you're the one who's walking that path, right? And it's gonna stem from you. So yeah, I think I just wanted to add that, Haley. And I think you've already, yeah. I don't know if you want to add anything onto that, but I mean that's really what I really connected to today. And I think it's important for us to really come from that space of that burning desire. What is it that we truly want, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to get us to where we essentially want to be.
Yeah, and it's like when you're expressing yourself fully, that's the magic. Right? That is the magic, and even like, there have been many times in my life where I've done what I thought I was supposed to do. I mean, even in the last year, and I've had many visceral experiences where I was like, oh, like I wasn't in my power, or oh, that wasn't really my soul. That wasn't really. And so you learn and you learn and you learn and you learn as you're doing this work. So, just continue to just continue to learn. Just continue to be invested in your growth. And don't worry about where you think you're supposed to be. I promise you, every one of you, myself included, like we are all right where we're supposed to be, right? When we're constantly striving to be something that we're not, we are reaffirming to the universe and to source that there's lack, right? And that we're not one. But we are all one. It's just the programming and conditioning that is tainted us, and it is holding us back from realizing that. And the only way to really get there in awareness is to live from the inside out and to constantly be listening to that inner voice and that intuition and stay in our higher mental faculties more often than not. Okay, so we're gonna be going really deep with this in the coming weeks, in the coming programs, because I really believe it's an area of spirituality that is not, it's covered, but it's not covered enough. And I think that the world and society is ready for it now. They didn't used to be. And even when I got started back in like 2016, 15, 16, there were I remember like speaking about what I was doing and, being shy, and like, I came from corporate and now all of a sudden I'm talking about universal laws. Like, who the hell am I to be doing that? But there's just, with what's happened in the world in the last, especially the last 2.5 years, but even before that, we're ready for it. So I promise you guys, like, we're going to continue. We've got some really great content in store for additional both live in-person events, just day-long boot camps, more 5 days like this. So just hang in there with us. Bring friends along for the ride. We just want to help and serve, and we're here for you guys, okay? So I know it was almost a full hour today. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching the replay. We're grateful for each of you, and we'll see you tomorrow, day 4, on attitude and decision. Go have a
Thank
great
you,
day,
guys.
guys. Bye.
Enjoy.
Bye.